I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. Days after a double shooting left a man dead and his mother injured, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office has arrested the murder suspect. And it's all thanks to a jailhouse phone call. Sue Kalberg has the story.
There's been all kinds of new evidence uncovered in the Crestway murder investigation.
There already have been other people swept up in this investigation. We executed a total of, I believe, 5 warrants at other locations and other vehicles.
So far, they've added 3 felony charges to one of their suspects. 58-year-old Martin Sanchez had been looking at 1 misdemeanor, but now he's charged with murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and tampering with evidence.
Quite frankly, is that a jail phone call was intercepted. And during the course of that jail phone call, he clearly states several times that he shot the man that eventually died.
They say they recovered spent shell casings they think came from the Volvo used in the attack, and they believe they have the murder weapon too. They also put 2 more people in handcuffs based on tips. The sheriff says when they served warrants for Wendy Waters and Paul Taylor, they found 33 grams of meth and almost 24 stolen IDs, leading to fraud charges. They're still looking for more clues. They say there could be additional arrests or seizures coming up. At the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
A San Antonio criminal defense attorney is facing human trafficking and prostitution-related charges. Texas DPS says Neil Kalfas was arrested this morning as part of an ongoing human trafficking investigation. Kalfas is charged with trafficking of persons and solicitation of prostitution. DPS says no other information is being released at this time. The U.S. Marine veteran freed from a Russian prison is receiving medical treatment in San Antonio. Robert Gilman landed at Kelly Field in San Antonio early Wednesday morning. He was in prison for more than 4 years for assaulting a Russian officer. Gilman was released this week on a humanitarian basis after President Trump said the man was gravely ill. The 32-year-old is now receiving medical treatment at Brooke Army Medical Center. Boerne Little League is once again World Series bound after a major court victory. Drama over a temporary restraining order put the team's win on hold. Bella Papaduke has a story.
On Monday, Boerne punched their ticket to the Little League World Series with a 4-1 victory over Louisiana. But then a Waco district judge issued a temporary restraining order, reinstating the Tulsa Little League team to the tournament that was disqualified for using an ineligible player. Boerne was then scheduled to play Tulsa Tuesday night to once again secure their spot. For Boerne parents who have watched this team make history before, it was a stressful turn. Past Boerne Little League parent Timothy Christ followed the developments closely.
It's just a sense of dread because you're like, we did this thing the right way. We know the boys won, but now there's this sort of, black cloud hanging over the whole thing.
Christ tells me he knows what this moment means for these players. His son Caleb played with Boerne's 2024 team that made it to the Little League World Series, an experience Christ later chronicled in his book, How Boerne Made History, and played on the field of their dreams.
So I wrote about this in the book, and I said, just getting to Williamsport you've already won, right? Anything past this point is simply a bonus.
Civil litigation attorney Dennis Postiglione says a temporary restraining order is designed to address imminent harm. And in this case, time was running out.
They have to show that if the court doesn't act, then imminent harm will occur. That is, they have no adequate remedy for down the road. And so because you've got a World Series, Little League World Series event happening here, this thing, the train is traveling downhill at top speed, and unless the court steps in and makes a quick decision, then one team or the other will be prejudiced.
Just before game time, a judge vacated that temporary restraining order. Boerne was once again bound for the Little League World Series. And for this community, that means the focus can return to the field and to Williamsport.
Get ready and travel up there without this cloud hanging over them. Like again, they did it the right way.
Bella Papaduke, KENS 5.
The school year is just getting started, but one San Antonio senior is already making an impact. She spent her summer turning a personal passion into something that could help children gain a little more independence. KENS 5's Simone Simpson has her story.
The school year is barely underway, but Gracie Martinez is rolling into senior year with an accomplishment, a mobility chair she designed and 3D printed for a nonprofit. Amid the steady whir of 3D printers, one student has a mission, and it's taking shape one layer at a time.
It's a toddler mobility trainer. This is for kids who have cerebral palsy or any disabilities, so they can learn how to be independent in their own wheelchair as they grow up.
This summer, Gracie Martinez turned her home into a makeshift lab, spending countless hours printing, testing, and tinkering, driven by one goal, creating a mobility chair that could change the lives of children served by the nonprofit Team Ability.
My favorite part might actually be the wheels and the cushions. They're big and they have the handles so the kid can grab onto them and learn how to push himself and move. And the cushions are actually really cool because they're also 3D printed.
Gracie has taught us a lesson that we learn over and over again in life, which is that giving blesses the giver just as much as it blesses the one that receives. And I think Gracie's story inspires her classmates to do the same.
The chair costs about $150 in materials to make. The blueprint was provided by a nonprofit in Louisiana, Make Good Inc. Gracie's teacher, Omar Valdez, says the number of chairs that need to be printed hasn't been pinned down yet because the need is so great.
I have a dream of having individuals come to TMI and walking in and looking at 20 chairs and picking the colors. That's my dream, and I know for a fact Gracie Martinez will be able to help us achieve that vision.
Reporting from TMI Episcopal, I'm Simone Simpson.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin, and a suspect is in custody after police say he fired shots at an officer. It happened on Wednesday morning on Camino La Costa in North Austin near Highway 290 and I-35. Police say the suspect had assaulted someone in the parking lot, and when an officer responded, the suspect started shooting, so that officer fired back. The suspect then went into their apartment, and APD Chief Lisa Davis says it took about 90 minutes to get him to come out so they could arrest him. Leonardo Valiando says he was working in his apartment when he heard police calling for the suspect to surrender.
We live next to a construction site, so usually there's like wild banks and things like that going on. But I never thought that there was a gunfire exchange going on, and then, you know, it kind of like made me reconsider that perhaps I need to move places.
Chief Davis says the assault in the parking lot seemed to be random. The officer who fired their weapon is on leave, which is standard procedure while the department investigates. The Texas School for the Deaf in Austin is keeping Kaylee Hoddle's memory alive. The 18-year-old athlete and actress died in a car crash last month. Brianna Perez shows us how the school is carrying on her legacy through a scholarship.
Since the age of 3, Kaylee Hoddle walked the halls here at the Texas School for the Deaf. As a rising senior, she was making her mark on the track, while also making a name for herself in Hollywood. She appeared in the 2021 film Godzilla vs. Kong and returned for the 2024 sequel. TSD Superintendent Peter Bailey, who communicated with us through an interpreter, says Kaylee was down to earth.
When I got here, I was really excited to know that she was an actress, and so I was excited to tell people, and she said, no, I don't want everybody to know. She was just a very humble human being.
A quality Bailey says he'll always remember. Hoddle died after a car crash in Maryland on July 21st.
The community's reaction has been very strong, and we have united quickly to make sure we can help the community recover from this.
TSD is now honoring Kaylee's life and legacy with a scholarship in her name. Officials hope it will inspire the next generation of students to dream big, follow their passions, and leave a mark of their own.
After her passing and knowing her close relationship with her class of 27, we thought that it would be a perfect way to celebrate her legacy going forward.
Since her passing, school officials say the community has come out to remember Kaylee. Just outside of the gates of the school here, you can see people have left flowers, candles, and words of encouragement. Officials say she will be missed by many on this campus.
We grieve together, of course, but we're focusing on celebrating her, and that's why the scholarship was established, to make sure that we can maintain her legacy in that manner and knowing that that's not going to go away, because this will be everlasting.
The scholarship will go to 1 or 2 graduating TSD students who are involved in athletics and the performing arts and who show leadership, creativity, perseverance, and a commitment to the TSD community. For Bailey, the tribute is bittersweet.
I feel as a superintendent, this is something I never wanted to have to do. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, we know that we have to continue to lead in making sure that her name continues on.
In downtown Austin, Brianna Perez, KVUE News.
One of Austin's most recognizable streets could eventually have a new name. The city held its first public meeting to ask whether Cesar Chavez Street should be renamed, and if so, what it should be called. Here's Allison Hill.
It's a name you see stretching across the heart of Austin.
The walk sign is on to cross Cesar Chavez.
But after more than 30 years as Cesar Chavez Street, the city is now asking Austinites whether it's time for a change.
Earlier this year, city leaders began looking to rename it after allegations of sexual misconduct against the late labor leader surfaced.
Number one, what are their thoughts? Number two, what are their priorities as they think about the renaming? And then ultimately, if there is sentiment to rename, what names we should consider.
Tuesday night, those questions moving from City Hall to the community. One man who spoke with KVUE says it's a conversation he's been part of before.
In December of 1993, the council agreed with us and renamed Cesar Chavez, East First to Cesar Chavez Street. And that's why we're here, because we were part of this whole effort from get-go. We also want to make sure that the logo of the United Farm Workers is on the East First Street side to remember the reasons why we did rename it.
But for one woman who lives just blocks from Cesar Chavez Street, says the money could be better spent elsewhere.
I live right close to Terrazas Library and Sanchez Elementary School, and feel strongly that the money being proposed to change a street could be put to better use.
Others say the name should go altogether.
With the history that has come out about Cesar Chavez, I think the answer is no, it did not.
But that would come with a price tag, as any change could mean new addresses and signage for hundreds of properties lining the corridor. The city estimates its own cost could total between about $413,000 and $1.2 million, with highway signage making up most of that price tag. Allison Hill, KVUE News.
On Wednesday, state and local leaders were in San Marcos celebrating the opening of a new Buc-ee's truck stop off I-35 and Yarrington Road, just north of town. Reporter Daniel Perot has more on the store opening and what it means for the community.
2, 3. And with that, the new Buc-ee's in San Marcos is open.
The Beaver.
Shirley Sheffield loves Buc-ee's. This Buc-ee's shirt she's sporting, one of 34 that she owns.
I don't know, it's just Buc-ee's. I have the cups too.
She drove roughly 50 miles north from San Antonio.
Got off of work at 8 o'clock this morning and shot up here.
To San Marcos, determined not to miss opening day.
It's Buc-ee's. Of course it's important.
The new 74,000 square foot Buc-ee's Travel Center has more than 100 fueling stations and is expected to create hundreds of new jobs.
Today is a great example of how business and government worked collaboratively to grow a community's economy while creating a welcoming, family-friendly visitor experience.
It's been a steady stream of customers since the doors opened this morning, eager to get their hands on things like the fudge, the brisket, and the always favorite beaver nuggets.
I'm proud of the type of business that Buc-ee runs. Listen, it provides great jobs, great economic opportunity.
Governor Greg Abbott issued a proclamation celebrating Buc-ee's contributions to the Texas economy. With this new spot, Buc-ee's now has 54 open stores across the U.S.
Buc-ee's lives up to the pioneering spirit of the Lone Star State.
Buc-ee's founder and president, Arch Beaver Applin, called Governor Abbott a friend and praised the Lone Star State's business-friendly environment.
And there is no better state in the country to start a business. Period, no question.
In June, Applin donated $250,000 to Governor Abbott's re-election campaign.
I don't have to tell you what a wonderful state we live in.
The two headed inside where Abbott traded his governor's hat for a knife.
Fresh shot brisket on the board!
Joining Buc-ee's workers behind the counter.
All right.
Slicing, chopping, and serving up some brisket. The new store sits just 20 miles from one in New Braunfels and 25 miles from the company's largest store in Luling.
We recognize Interstate 35 is much to the chagrin of many of you that get caught in the traffic. It's a growing place, and it's growing, and we felt like it needed another store. So
a new chapter for the popular rest stop that's grown from gas station to cultural phenomenon.
Buc-ee's success is our success.
That was Daniel Perot reporting, and that's all from us here in Austin. Hope you have a great day.
Well, hey there, Texas. You know, another hot day across the state, of course, today, and we're going to see many more of those in the days ahead. But some of us will be lucky enough to see maybe a few showers and storms here and there. As far as today is concerned, well, I think those stay in far western parts of Texas. The rest of us are just going to be hot and dry. Now, as we get into tomorrow, we do have the possibility of seeing a couple of isolated storms in western Texas and also a little bit closer to the coast. But on Saturday, I really don't see too many of those rain chances at all. It just looks hot and dry for most of us, with temperatures for many of us back in the triple digits. So as far as Amarillo today, we're looking at a high of 102 degrees. Now, some decent news is temperatures will go down a little bit. It looks like tomorrow we're dropping to 100 degrees, so still dangerously hot. But on Saturday, we are going to be dropping down into the upper 90s. Across Austin today, 102, upper 90s tomorrow, but back up to 101 on Saturday. And Corpus Christi, temperatures starting in the upper 90s today. We actually should kind of hang out in the upper 90s at least for the next couple of days. In fact, tomorrow we could see a little bit more cloud cover. I think there is going to be a very low chance of an isolated shower storm, but definitely a little bit more cloud cover than these past couple of days. Now across the DFW, looking at a high of 102 degrees today, 101 tomorrow, and then just 100 degrees on Saturday. So still lots of triple digits. One of the cooler spots, again, it's all relative, in El Paso today, 94 degrees, but we're expecting 95 tomorrow and back down to 94 on Saturday. A little warmer down in Waco, 102 degrees today, 100 tomorrow, and then 101 degrees on Saturday. So most of us will just kind of hang out in the triple digits, it looks like, for the next few days. I really don't expect a whole lot of that to be changing in the days ahead. In fact, I think we're going to continue to see a pretty consistent weather pattern. It looks like we're going to see those temperatures not only in the triple digits, but for any of those that do get a little bit of rain, well, temperatures may only drop a few degrees. So looking at the latest timecast, again, most of us seeing some sunshine early on today, but clouds could build in a little bit more later this afternoon and evening, keeping that chance of rain and storms way off to the west, but even that coverage looks to be pretty low. As we get into tomorrow, notice a couple of showers that we had near the coast. They kind of move over into far southern parts of Texas later in the evening, and maybe a couple of showers and storms way out west, but that's it. It's really going to be hard to come by even tomorrow. Kind of the same thing on Saturday. The chance of rain for any one location across Texas is going to be extremely low. You can see maybe a couple of pop-up late day showers and storms around Houston, but that's probably it. On Sunday, more of the same. Lots of sunshine and plenty of heat. It looks like we've got that ridge of high pressure basically right on top of Texas. So any chance of rain and storms is going to kind of be on the periphery of around Texas. And so it looks like most of us will not be seeing any rain for quite some time. So looking at those temperatures for later tonight, we're only dropping down into the upper 70s to lower 80s, about 81 at DFW, 78 degrees in Abilene, 78 in Houston, 79 overnight tonight in Austin. Tomorrow afternoon, temperatures back in the upper 90s in Austin, 101 at DFW, 100 degrees in Abilene, and 99 in both Lubbock and in Amarillo. So breaking it down region by region for you, looking at the western half of the state first, El Paso, of course, today temperatures in the mid-90s. mid-90s, and I think we just kind of hang out there for the next couple of days. Maybe a little bit more cloud cover on Saturday. It does, however, look like there's going to be at least a low chance of isolated showers and storms by Saturday afternoon. Now in Lubbock, I don't have any chance of rain, and temperatures will be a little bit warmer. It looks like upper 90s over the next several days. In Midland, kind of the same thing, even less cloud cover, though. We're calling it sunny. I have 98 degrees tomorrow, 97 on Saturday, and 98 degrees on Sunday. Now in central Texas, across Austin, a little bit more cloud cover tomorrow, but that chance of rain stays very minimal at best. Now we're expecting mostly sunny skies again on Saturday, so we are back up to 101 degrees, and we're staying there on Sunday. Waco, a little bit of cloud cover tomorrow. The chance of rain stays very low. I don't have any rain chances for the weekend, and temperatures go up just a little bit. 101 on Saturday, 102 on Sunday. In Fredericksburg, we do expect to see partly sunny skies tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid-90s, and we should keep the mid-90s around for the next few days. Now across South Texas, it does look a little bit hotter. Across Corpus Christi, later tomorrow, some clouds. The chance of rain remains very low, but it's not completely zero. Temperatures hang out in the upper 90s, but Laredo looks significantly hotter with a high of 104 degrees tomorrow on 105. By Saturday, North Texas, plenty of heat and a little bit of humidity. No rain chances over the next few days. And then East Texas, we do have temperatures in the upper 90s, not really seeing any rain chances there across Houston, Beaumont or Tyler. Now there could be a very low chance, maybe an isolated shower on Friday afternoon, but again, that coverage stays very low. By the time we get over to the valley, though, it does look significantly hotter. It does look a little windy tomorrow in McAllen, high of 101 degrees. Also, same story in Mission, Texas. We're looking at 101 degrees tomorrow and windy, but up to 103 degrees on Saturday.
Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Lynn Cannon. A man calls 911 after witnessing a shooting. Now he is in ICE custody. That shooting happening over the weekend. The Harris County District Attorney is speaking out, saying this arrest could cause others in the community to be fearful of reporting crimes. Aniela Ruiz speaking with DA Sean Tier.
Sunday morning at this Home Depot parking lot on Bel Air near the Beltway, Houston police say they got a call that someone was firing a gun into the parking lot. When Houston police arrived, they chased this man, 24-year-old David Elias Mendez. Court documents state officers recovered a gun, but as they brought him back,
to be identified by this witness, ICE had come into the parking lot and had effectively arrested the reportee.
Harris County District Attorney Sean Tier says the man who called 911 was in ICE custody.
HPD had to convince ICE to let him out of the car so that he could identify the person who we had found with the gun.
Houston police tells me they didn't call ICE. The DA says fortunately officers were able to get a statement.
After he wrote the statement and positively identified him, they took him back into custody and left with him.
Tier says he has a bigger concern. Situations like this could make people afraid to report crimes.
This is a justifiable fear of a huge portion of our population to not trust any law enforcement.
He says that fear is already affecting criminal cases
that we have already had to dismiss, and more cases that we will have to dismiss because witnesses and victims don't want to participate anymore.
It's a fear that immigrant activists say they're seeing firsthand.
People have come to our office and they've said, they witnessed things or they were victims of things, and instead of calling the police, they come to us.
We reached out to ICE to see what happened. In a statement, the agency said officers arrested 54-year-old Juan Francisco Monroy Turuy, an immigrant from Guatemala. They say he was encountered in Bel Air, Texas, and discovered he was in the U.S. illegally and had been convicted of a criminal offense that endangered public safety.
That was Aniela Ruiz reporting. A disabled Navy veteran is improving after being left in a coma following what his family believes may have been a possible assault near the University of Houston. His family is asking for help finding whoever is responsible. Jason Miles with the story.
Decades after serving his country overseas in the Navy, 58-year-old Dale Rozelle is fighting a new battle in a hospital bed. We're blurring this photo due to his head injuries.
He's already weak and sick. So it's just like very disturbing to have to watch him like go through this.
Already significantly disabled, Rozelle's daughter, Ivy, believes her dad was a sitting duck.
So he just got himself this scooter from Walmart. He paid $400 for it. He was so excited, you know. And so he was riding it around his little area.
Rozelle himself does not remember much, but he and his family believe he was likely ambushed or possibly even struck by a vehicle while riding his mobility scooter along this stretch of Scott Street near UH's football stadium last Saturday evening, although he did not wake up from a coma until 2 days later. That's when Houston police say they connected the dots to a missing persons report filed by the family when Rozelle, who also wears hearing aids, failed to come home from the store.
So he can't hear that good, and if they snuck up on him, you know, that might have happened.
The case remains under investigation, as do the circumstances surrounding what exactly happened to Rozelle. But according to HPD, his wallet, scooter, and other items were taken. His family is grateful the veteran's life wasn't lost as well.
I just don't understand why people are so violent towards others, like, especially like, just like unprovoked violence. You know, it's just wrong.
Rozelle suffered skull and rib fractures, according to his family, but should pull through.
That was Jason Miles reporting. A Baytown woman says crashes like this one here have become all too common. Cars veering off the road and into her property. She has spent thousands of dollars on repairs and now worries someone could be seriously hurt. The county has taken steps to help keep cars on the road, but as Katira Winfrey reports, the homeowner says still not enough.
At least 5 times cars have driven onto the Mann family property and caused damage. The most recent bill, $7,000 to repair this fence. The Harris County Commissioner's Office did install new traffic signage, but the Mann family fears that's not enough.
Just around the bend on Bayou Boulevard sits the house Stephanie Mann has lived in for more than 20 years. And there's been some close calls with cars in her yard and some that hit a bit too close to home.
We've had at least 5 incidences where vehicles have missed the turn on the curve and ran into the flower beds, the air conditioner stands, the fence, trees, pretty much took out a mailbox at one point.
Mann shared surveillance video with us back in April of the worst incident to date. A man plows through her fence and drives away. The mangled fence slowed him down enough to avoid slamming into a gas meter and the home.
It did exactly what we designed it to do, and that's why we rebuilt it again.
After so many close calls, she reached out to Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner's Office asking that speed bumps be installed ahead of the curve. The Commissioner's Office didn't install speed bumps, but did install new road signage.
It's not enough. I'm okay with the signs. It's just not enough because people who are under the influence, there could be a sign in front of them, they're going to run over it.
In a statement to KHOU 11, Precinct 2 conducted a detailed traffic study, saying, the speed recorded on Bayou Boulevard came in below both the posted speed limit and the threshold required for speed hump installation, so this location does not currently meet the policy's requirements for speed humps. An additional traffic study to identify a need for additional signage to improve driver awareness along the curve.
It will at least help me in some ways to know that I don't have to worry about somebody constantly running into something all the time, so it gives me a little bit of peace.
And while this isn't the solution Mann hoped, she's holding out hope her request will be reconsidered.
Mann says some of her neighbors do oppose speed bumps, but she hopes more is done before others end up with property damage or hurt. Reporting in Baytown, Katira Winfrey, KHOU 11 News.
We will see what happens. The Texans kick off the preseason Thursday night against the LA Chargers at Reliant Stadium. Now, while the game may not count in the standings, it does count at the cash register. Brianna Barry talked with one local business ready to kick off the season, hoping for big game day crowds.
As the Texans sweat it out, prepping for their first preseason game. Local businesses are running their own 2-minute drill, getting ready for a flood of fans.
I think we're going to have a good season.
At Center Court Pizza in Missouri City, the game plan is simple. Keep the kitchen moving and be ready for the game day rush, all while hoping to score a financial win. Haley Dominguez, a co-owner of Center Court, says the hype around the Texans is stronger than ever after last season.
I think last season helped us tremendously. I think the hype is even more than it has been in the past because of how well they did last season.
Like many Houston area businesses, Haley says the World Cup brought in plenty of patrons, but the payoff didn't quite match the pregame hype.
We thought so just because there was so much hype around it. And we didn't do bad. We did great on the games. It was just, I think a lot of people went into town or went to the game because there was so much hype around the Fan Fest.
When it comes to Texans football, businesses are betting on a different outcome. According to one report, the Houston Texans' regular football season generates approximately $1.1 billion in total economic impact for the region. Even if World Cup football didn't quite score as expected, Haley says she's confident the Texans won't let her down.
Every Thursday, tomorrow night, we'll be opening preseason for the Texans, so we're hoping, that we're going to get all the community out to have a good time.
In Missouri City, Brianna Berry, KHOU 11 News.
Football is back. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. A new ethics complaint is raising questions about a Denton City councilman who recently announced he's stepping down. As Brittany Costello reports, the allegations surround an encounter this past June.
Councilman Jordan Villarreal was sworn into Denton City Council in May of this year. Last month, he announced plans to step down. In a city council meeting last Tuesday, he explained why.
I've been dealing with severe depression, suicidal ideation, and alongside that, challenges with substance abuse.
He vowed to get help.
I hit rock bottom in June. My addictions and my depression took complete control.
A friend started an online fundraiser. People have donated nearly $8,000 toward the $22,000 goal to help him pay for his treatment. But just days after a speech that inspired people in council chambers to stand and clap, the Denton Board of Ethics called a special meeting to review a new complaint against Councilman Jordan Villarreal. The complaint alleges the councilman approached a group of people on Fry Street in June. It says Villarreal used his position to start a conversation over drinks. The document alleges the interaction became uncomfortable. Villarreal allegedly asked sexual questions, what they would do if a member of the council offered them coke.
We tried to reach Villarreal today, both in person and by phone, but have not heard back. We reached out to the friend who set up the online fundraiser. She said she would not be commenting.
We reached out to Villarreal's colleagues on council. Only Councilwoman Susie Rumer responded, saying she was not aware of the ethics complaint when Villarreal discussed his resignation at the August 4th meeting. The same meeting, Villarreal unsuccessfully tried to appoint a new member to the Board of Ethics, the same board that will be tasked with reviewing allegations against him.
The Board of Ethics has called a special meeting for August 17th at 5:30. It's the board's job to determine if a violation occurred and what, if any, punishment should be imposed. In Denton, I'm Brittany Costello.
There are new concerns about a planned tiny home community designed for the homeless. Residents in the historic Joppy district tell Brittany Moncrief they're just hearing about the project, even though it's been years in the making.
He's hot, he's sweaty.
Out here, it can be
That's how you doing.
tough. But those who've laid roots in Joppy, like Claudia Fowler,
Resident of Joppy, advocate now of Joppy, friend of Joppy,
are putting in the work to see it grow. That work came with a shock last week when she attended a community meeting for Dallas District 7. She and others learned that the city wants to build 75 pallet homes, which are tiny transitional homes, near the historic Freedmen's Town for the unhoused population.
I guess we were kind of like in a lieu of shock because we hadn't heard of
the proposed homes will be located at the 3.6-acre TxDOT site near Interstate 310. The idea was first introduced to the city's Housing and Homeless Solutions Committee in April, but some residents say they're just now hearing about it.
As an advocate for the homeless, I am excited that they are going to be transitioning, but every community, whether you are in North Dallas, South Dallas, East Dallas, West Dallas, Park City, or on, as I heard this morning, on Park Row, you want to know who your neighbors are going to be.
In a statement, Councilman Adam Bazadua, who represents this neighborhood, said, "I believe it is our job as leaders to to take courageous positions, make definitive decisions, and take a holistic approach to leadership, one that includes making decisions for those who don't have the ability to organize and have a platform for a voice. And in giving a voice, Claudia raises environmental concerns living near industrial businesses.
I want to see them in a safe environment, an environment where they can be productive, where they can be nurtured, where they can be loved.
And in true Joppy nature,
We just want them to understand that this is a community, and that we want to be good neighbors to them, so we want them to be good neighbors to us.
where roots can continue to grow. In Joppy, I'm Brittany Moncrief.
Now to an update on our Boomtown series and a new project in the heart of Hood County. Granbury grew more than 13% from 2020 to last year, and now there are nearly 14,000 people living there. May not sound like a lot, but it's growing at 3 to 4 times the national average. The mayor told Luke Clary a new project could bring more growth, but not everyone's on board.
Welcome, everyone, on behalf of the Granbury Chamber of Commerce.
Most people in Granbury will never see this place.
Push together. I'm sure everyone's showered and deodorized.
The city says they won't smell it either.
I don't smell a stink. Maybe I'm immune to it because I'm in the sewer business, but I don't smell it.
City manager Chris Kaufman says under Texas rules,
It's right down here around the corner. We're not quite there yet.
cities have to expand wastewater capacity before they need it.
Without this plant, we wouldn't be able to continue to grow.
The process began in 2016.
Doesn't look like this when it goes to the creek. Not at all.
Billy Massey has worked in wastewater plants for 38 years. Every flush, every shower, every load of dishes on this side of town ends up here.
The microorganisms start attacking the raw wastewater.
After treatment, it's discharged into a tributary of Rucker Creek, and from there into Lake Granbury.
We got some sludge coming out into the dumpster.
Oh, we got to see that. Neighbors formally challenged the permit over water quality and odor and went to a state hearing and then to court. The city won both.
Do you smell anything?
Not much.
No.
A decade of delay and inflation roughly tripled the price from $9.5 million to more than 34.
It would have saved us a lot of money if we could have done it before COVID.
So where does this all end up?
Right here. This is the final product that we're.
The last step is ultraviolet light.
And it's transformed into this.
The city has to test it and report the results to the state.
I'm not going to drink it, but it looks pretty close to drinking water.
For a decade, Granbury's growth was backed up. Now, city officials say it's moving again. In Granbury, I'm Luke Clary.
What if your child's campus looked more like a shopping center than a school? That's the idea behind a one-of-a-kind development in Forney. As Chris Sadeghi reports, students aren't just learning about the real world, they're working in it.
From old brick schoolhouses to business centers, desks in a row to storefronts and gymnasiums to arenas, the face of education is changing.
Schools now are starting to reflect on that and say, even what's next?
And so too are the buildings themselves.
Yeah, we do believe this is the future of education.
At Forney ISD, Superintendent Justin Terry had a vision.
What if we could really take and learn upstairs and then really put the experience into play in a real world setting?
This was the result. Opened in 2023, the OC campus may look like a 350,000 square foot mall, and in some ways it is.
We own probably 12 of these businesses around here. We own 2 franchises as a district, and those are student run, so they take ownership in that and pride in it.
A concourse with coffee shops, automotive centers, businesses and spaces of all kinds open 7 days a week to serve the community, but hiding within it all, classrooms to teach it.
And so school buildings are our expertise.
Kate Dunphy with Huckabee Architecture Firm helped design the OC, where nearly a third of Forney's 6,000 high school students spend part of their school day learning skills, then putting them to use.
We're seeing a lot more focus on how do we create spaces that can support soft skill learning.
Learning that goes beyond textbooks into a career path.
Every square foot is career, college, and community all in one.
A school building that invites everyone to take part. In Forney, I'm Chris Sadeghi.
Pretty innovative concept. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening here in South Texas. Governor Greg Abbott making another trip to Corpus Christi this week to meet with South Texas parents and educators to talk about new measures to strengthen Texas classrooms. Now, this visit comes as the governor announces a new commission to help shape the future of public education, with 2 Coastal Bend educators now part of that effort. Our Natalia Osuna explains.
After devoting years to education in the Coastal Bend.
20 years in education, 15 years here at Teloso Midway.
Now, Nidia de la Cerda is taking on a new role as a member of Governor Greg Abbott's new Texas Classroom Commission.
Excited to become part of a group of educators with different backgrounds that can come together and collaborate to make Texas a good place for public education.
Helping shape what public education could look like across Texas, bringing her top focus areas to the table.
If we can have a strong foundation in reading and math, we can really set our students up for success. I think it goes back to strengthening our teachers, making sure they're properly trained and they're equipped with the tools they need to be able to teach their students.
And De la Cerda is not the only one with those goals in mind. In a recent meeting with the commission, Governor Abbott shared 3 key priorities: improving student proficiency in math and reading, limiting classroom screen time, and identifying new strategies to attract and retain high-quality teachers. At Calallen ISD, Abigail Grataski is the second local educator appointed to the commission.
Being one of the people getting chosen to represent our community is something that I feel such pride in, because I know our community has such dedicated educators and such dedicated students and parents.
She previously worked with the Texas Education Agency through a Teacher Leadership Fellowship, and now she's taking on this new role to help shape the future of education statewide.
I'm excited for teachers and educators to have an opportunity to see someone who is in their shoes, or who is in their shoes, being a voice for their community.
And while the commission will help guide policy at the state level, De la Cerda says her why starts much closer to home, in the classroom.
Really feel like school is their safe place to be and to learn and grow.
Natalia Osuna with that report. And as the South Texas water supply is still stabilizing, one Coastal Bend community has made the decision to lift all their drought restrictions. Leaders for the city of Alice say the decision to do so is because Lake Corpus Christi has remained above the levels that triggered stages 1, 2, and 3 of the city's drought plan. Lake Corpus Christi just over 91%. Alice has also supplemented its own water supply with purified brackish groundwater for over a year. But even with the restrictions lifted, residents are still encouraged to conserve whenever possible. And the next time you travel through the Corpus Christi International Airport, there may be some changes. 3 big improvement projects are coming to CCIA after getting the green light from Corpus Christi City Council at a total of $6.5 million, with nearly much of that coming from an FAA airport improvement grant. Now, some of the upgrades do include the check-in and baggage system area, making checking your bags faster, taxiway improvements, and even more resources into marketing to inspire more folks here to fly local. And for those of you perhaps watching this from somewhere else, to come visit the Coastal Bend. And that's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. Governor Greg Abbott is ordering ERCOT and the Public Utility Commission to audit data center projects before they can move forward. The company behind a Temple data center says it welcomes the review. Our Juliana Jackson has more on what the new guidelines mean for projects and for the people who live near it.
Are we getting a good deal? And that is exactly the right question they should be asking.
Governor Greg Abbott wants the state to get those answers before data center projects move forward.
How do we do the right thing by the communities that we're operating in? What does it mean to be a good neighbor? Like, what does it mean to be a good development partner?
Abbott is ordering ERCOT and the Public Utility Commission to audit data centers, advancing through the grid's interconnection process. ERCOT is considering more than 474 gigawatts of connection requests. That's more than 5 times Texas's record peak electricity demand. About 90% of that new demand is tied to data centers, one of the first questions the state wants answered.
And the goal is to ensure that we're not shifting any cost to power our Rowan data centers onto any other electric consumers in the grid.
The state wants projected water use, where that water will come from, and how each facility will keep its servers cool.
Do a one-time fill, and then we'll often run those systems for 10 to 15 years without having to fill again. So we already use a really minimal amount of water in our
The
facilities.
state also wants to know about tax incentives and other public financial assistance.
At the end of the day, the communities have a right to know, and also it's on us to tell the story and give that information.
The company says it has already disclosed expected electricity and water use and says the statewide standards give developers clear expectations.
You know, we see the governor's mandate of basically telling developers, like, you've got to do this the right way. And we've got a lot of good ideas about what that looks like for Rowan, and we're excited to engage on, what that looks like for the governor's office as well.
Abbott says the audit must be completed before a data center project moves forwards through ERCOT's interconnection process. And if a project doesn't meet state and ERCOT requirements, the governor says it will be denied connection to the Texas grid. Meantime, Waco ISD started the new school year working to fill some teacher vacancies. The district says about 3% of its teaching positions are currently open, but officials say they are confident students will have qualified staff in their classrooms. Our Adrian Carbajal has more.
The back-to-school countdown is on, and for Waco ISD, that means making sure every classroom has a teacher ready to go.
We have about 3% vacancy with our teaching staff, and so that's about 30 teacher positions that are vacant.
Waco ISD Superintendent Dr. Tiffany Spicer says the number is low compared to the shortage of educators seen across Texas and the rest of the country. But with about 30 teaching positions still open, the district is using other strategies to keep classrooms covered. That includes long-term substitute teachers, contracted services, and programs designed to help current employees become certified teachers.
We have a Grow Your Own program where we have, I'll say, paraprofessionals who are our hourly employees who might have college credits and or college degrees. And so we have a way to put them through the pipeline and let them get a form of teacher payment so that they can move up in our system and become teachers.
Spicer says the goal is to eventually have every position filled with a highly qualified educator. But for now, she says the district is ready for the first day of school and will keep working to close the remaining gaps.
Long-term plan is always 100%. Always. You want to make sure you have 100% highly qualified. Legislation is coming that's going to require that to happen, I think, in the next year. I think it's 27, 28. And so we're already working on that with our Grow Your Own programs to ensure that we can meet that expectation from the state. And so even this year, even though we're at 3%, that's not 100, right? So we're working even as we go through the first days of school and the first weeks of school to make sure we can fill those gaps.
Waco ISD says those teacher vacancies are still open, so anyone interested in working for the district can apply even after the school year begins. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. The city of Tyler is proposing a new $287 million budget, which includes a half-penny tax rate increase. The city says this will address rising operating costs while also investing in public safety and the city's infrastructure. CBS 19's Emily Trevino looks into why that increase was needed and how it could impact you.
Second by Councilwoman Hawkins. All in favor?
The City Council voted unanimously Wednesday morning to accept the proposed $287 million budget. That price of progress comes with a half-penny property tax rate increase, which the city says is still one of the lowest in the state. David Kurtz works with families looking for a home they can afford every day. He says the increase will be a burden on people with inflation already taking a toll.
I think that families are going to continue to be frustrated, and they're deservingly should be frustrated.
The proposed tax rate increase will rise from 23.64 cents to 24.20 cents per $100 of taxable value. That's about $4 more per month and $48 a year for the average homeowner. The city says the property tax rate helps fund police and fire emergency operations.
For police and fire, for every dollar that we collect, about 64 cents of that goes to our police and fire departments.
And while some understand the need for both, they are worried about how their neighbors will be impacted.
It's making the normal living expectation unattainable for a lot of people.
This comes as Smith County is also proposing a tax rate change.
Senior citizens who have paid off their home, are on a fixed income, have owned their home for 20 years, and are now struggling to keep the home because of what they're paying in taxes.
And with rising costs of other things like groceries and gas, Kurt says the only thing property owners can really do now is protest your property taxes on an annual basis.
You would be so surprised to see how much you can actually reduce on an annual tax rate just by protesting.
The city of Tyler says that these rates won't go into effect until fiscal year 2028 after issuing debt in 2027. In Tyler, Emily Trevino, CBS 19.
Kilgore High School students got to walk through the doors of a brand new campus on Wednesday. The new high school has been years in the making. CBS 19's Blake Neubauer has the story.
After years of planning, construction, and delays, today marks a new chapter for Kilgore High School as their brand new school is open on the first day of school. The project started with a district needs assessment in 2021 when staff and the community identified a new high school as the district's top priority. Superintendent Andy Baker explained what the new high school means for this generation and for generations beyond.
I'm most excited for this school, for this community. This is the next 100 years for Kilgore ISD for their high school, and we built and planned this building to go that duration. A lot of thought went into this building.
The new school has about the same square footage as the old campus, but with a more compact design. The building also includes new common areas and other features designed to bring students together. And today, those hallways are going to be filled, excitement is going to be in the air, and smiles all around as Kilgore starts a new chapter with their new building. In Kilgore, I'm Blake Neubauer, CBS 19.
And that's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.